Andrew Lawton is a leading British furniture designer maker and a friend of mine. In 2016, I visited his Derbyshire workshop with my Finnish student as she was on a work placement. Andrew shared his expertise with her over a couple of days. Now, in this film, he demonstrates the method of gluing and clamping the dovetailed legs on a small table that he'd designed.
I'm going to spray some glue on the reason I'm putting it on all the surfaces, often the manufacturers of the glue say apply to one surface only, but I like to put it on both.
Can't get the shot.
It acts as while the glue's still liquid, it acts as a lubricant. It actually helps. And people think, how much glue do you need to apply? Well, the answer is just enough. You want enough to say you've got a layer of glue on every surface. You don't want any areas that are starved of glue, but you don't want so much on that you've got a lot of excess glue that squeezes out later and involves extra time and effort to clean off. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to mallet this together. I'm going to drive it down as far as I can with the mallet. And my mallet will only take you so far. I'm going to put it in the vise. If you'd like to hold that, Elsie, hold that piece of wood there on that. Okay. Can you hold that there? The mallet will get you so far, but you really need a cramp to see. Now that's at 90 degrees, that's what we're looking for. That's at 90 as well. So, and the thing is, if you're marking out and has been accurate and you've cut accurately to the shoulder lines, once the shoulder lines are pulled up with a cramp, then that should be at 90 degrees in both directions to the top. Now I'll check it from this side as well, just to get the best light on it. Yeah. The next stage is to glue on this leg, and then I'm going to put a sash clamp across this way just to give extra strength that way to pull that in. Normally on a large row of dovetails you wouldn't have to put a clamp across it, but here where you've got a joint right on the edge of the piece, you sometimes have to put a clamp across. You'll notice I haven't put any glue on the bottom of the socket here. Now that's for two reasons. Partly because there's very little holding power on the end grain anyway, and secondly, if I was to put a layer of glue there, it may prevent the shoulder pulling tightly, and in any case the mere fact that we're inserting this joint into its mate will push some of the glue down into the bottom of the joint anyway, so there's really no need to put any on. I'll hold if you'd like to tighten this one up, Elsie. Hang on, I've got to put this piece in. Keep the clamp resting flat on the workpiece. Right, you are. Keep going. Always make sure the cramp's parallel to the axis of the central axis of the component, and then that will ensure that it goes in at 90 degrees and not at an angle. Because I've deliberately made this so that the ends of the pins protrude slightly, and if you had a cramping block which you put right across the end of the pins there, you wouldn't be able to pull the tails up. I'm going to just go back and do this one again. This might be too late now, but it and get that central. I mean, it was square, but it was, I don't know if I can just pull that.
So how much working time do you think
That's it.
you've got before the glue starts going off, Andy?
Realistically, if the workshop's reasonably warm, you've got about 20 minutes really, so you need to be working pretty quickly. Now, if I was gluing up a whole row of dovetails on a cabinet, for example, I would often use cascamite because it has a longer open time. It gives you more time to get it together. There's nothing more frustrating than you have a glue up. If something doesn't go quite to plan, the glue starts to set. You get in a terrible panic because it's getting harder and harder to pull the joint up, and once it starts to gel and it's forced into the bottom of the sockets, you've got a real job on to get it pulled up. This one's out of square. Can you see that?
Yeah.
You can sight it. You can see that. Now we've established that that one's the reference point. You can just by looking at it, you see it's cocking up. But the way we put that right is we do this. We put the cramp the opposite. We put the cramp deliberately at an angle like that. And what that's doing, that's going to pull this down. And I would.
Very, very useful trick.
It still needs a bit more, and I'm going to have to angle that even more. And I'll probably take it slightly beyond where it needs to be, just so that if it springs back at all, it'll take it to the exact position where it needs to be. It's still ever so slightly high. I can sight that, I can look across those, I can see that's still up ever so slightly. And we want to, I'm going to put that, I'll put that to there now, so I'll get the pressure from going diagonally. And this, I'm hoping this will put it right. I'm putting a cramp across here just to make doubly sure that there's nothing, that these aren't spreading at all. So we'll leave that to set for, won't need more than half an hour or so, but then we'll take the cramps off and do the other end. It's very tempting to try and do it all at once. Much better to break it down into smaller stages. Then it actually saves time because you've less, if anything goes wrong, you haven't got to go back and put things right where things haven't glued it quite squarely. What I'm doing now is scraping off the excess glue. And I've deliberately left it a few minutes till the glue started to go slightly viscous and it's easy to get off. I'd much prefer doing this than wetting and swabbing the work with a wet rag, which can sometimes dilute the glue and force it into the pores of the timber. You can see how easy that's coming off. You don't want to wait too long though. Once it starts to set, it gets too hard to get off. Okay, well, the legs are glued on, we've checked them for squareness, we've removed the excess glue. If the cramp's left on too long and the glue sets rock hard, that can be a permanent distortion. But generally speaking, if the joints are a good fit, these modern glues are set enough after 20 minutes to remove the cramps. It's best not to stress a joint for at least overnight. Let the glue fully cure before you start doing any other work on it, before you start planing it or cleaning up the joints. So we'll leave these cramps on for another half hour or so, then take them off, let the glue fully cure, then we can level off the joints, we can clean it up tomorrow, and then we're almost ready for the final finishing then.